This is another one of these problems here. So government never shrinks. So what are we going to do about it? Well, while this was going on, something else happened on the way to the movie theater. Our collective humility was sacrificed. Our dignity was sacrificed. If you were in this hotel last night, you saw the loss of humility and dignity that was sacrificed. And I don't mean to keep harping on it, but I'm sorry, those children came out of some woman's womb, and those children have a home somewhere. And what I saw last night, I cannot describe in words, but it is symptomatic. And it's probably pretty normal in these parts. I mean, California is just right there, right? Land of fruits and nuts and raisins and what have you. Governor Moonbeam. What happened? Where did we go wrong? Well, tell you what happened. It's become fashionable to do things like that for a long time. It's also become fashionable to turn our backs on our God or gods. What happened when we collectively turned our back on our God or gods? Guess what stepped in? Obama. Guess what stepped in? Clinton 1, Clinton 2. Guess what stepped in? Johnson, Kennedy, Truman. Name your evil despot, Nixon. Name your evil despot, government eyesore, villain. That's what stepped in. Government is our God. You have to change this. Like it or not, this is the root of the problem here. A virtuous people do not steal from their neighbors and smile about it. But we probably all know someone that's got a government job, that's a parasite on the dole, and they do it with aplomb. They're thankful for their government job. You can't really fault them because the government's going to hire, somebody has to do it. But this is a collective sickness here. Now, when Patrick Henry uttered his famous phrase, just to stick with the God subject for just a moment, that famous phrase we all know, right? Give me liberty or give me death. It's funny how not many people know what came before that. Does anybody know what came before give me liberty or give me death? Gentlemen, you know, fantastic. Anyone else? Look, it's not your fault. They don't want you to know. They being public schools, they being constitutional scholars, they being people that study the founding and what have you. They don't want you to know this. Remember, we kicked God out, or our gods, whatever you pray to. It's immaterial to me. Kicked him out. Embrace government. He is our God. I'd like to read for you what came before give me liberty or give me death. See if you find a common denominator in almost every sentence. This is really cool. An appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left for us. They tell us, sir, that we are weak. Shall we gather strength by irresolution and inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope until our enemies shall have bound us hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make a proper use of those means which the God of nature hath placed in our power. The millions of people armed in the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country as that which we possess, are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who resides over the destinies of nations, and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard on the plains of Boston. The war is inevitable. Let it come. Repeat it, sir. Let it come. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course other men may take, sir, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. You see a common, thank you. I'm here all week. You see a common strain running through this? I don't want to get preachy on you. I just want you to acknowledge that there is a strain running through this genius of oral skills like the world hasn't seen before or since. There's a reason why he's the most famous orator in American history. Why don't we know more about Mr. Henry? Has anyone ever wondered that? He's a bumper sticker. He's a throwaway tagline when some cop is searching the trunk of your car. Hey man, give me liberty or give me death. Why don't we know more about this gentleman? Intentional? You betcha. These men, not only did they live and desire, or not only did they desire that liberty and to conserve it, they lived it. And to do that, they had to be good people. It's called the good life. And there's a reason for that. So you see, my friends, liberty, to exist, requires conservatism or conservators, you, to protect it. You may not think you're a conservative. You may, I'm not a conservative. Don't you dare call me. I'm a libertarian. I'm an anarchist. If you want to preserve and protect that liberty, brothers and sisters, you are going to have to conserve it. You can use another word if you like. You can change the definition if you like. But you will conserve it or you will lose it. You are here tonight because you want back what they have taken from you. You desire a counter-revolution. That is a conservative action. It is not a liberal one. We don't want to tear the house down. We want peace. We want peace overseas. We want peace here. Let me chide some people for a moment. I'm a little weary of this talk. Well, if they won't give it to us, then we'll give it to them. Really, folks, we're the smart ones. We're the wise ones. People in this room have read texts and books, seen things that the imbeciles that call themselves educated don't even know exist. Things that you and I take for granted. Mises, Hayek, Rothbard, Hazlitt, name it. Bastiat. You guys take that for granted. You think everybody knows that. Let me clue you, they don't. Trust me. We're working on them, but they don't. So to preserve that liberty, you have to conserve it. It's okay. No, but we're not asking you to do anything else. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. But I think that after almost a century of trying it the other way, that it's time to try something different. And I will tell you something else. The gentleman who I'm not allowed to refer to by name, or most of you know, is a very conservative individual. I have met him. I've interviewed him 16 times. I've asked him these questions, and I know him to be thus, and that's why I trust him with my children. I trust him with my future. It's because of that, not in spite of that. It's because of that. And it's because of he has, and men like him had the thing that makes great leaders. He has that humility that we talked about earlier. He doesn't know everything. And I've heard men like him say brilliant things that some people, bah, what do you mean you don't have a plan for the economy? You can't plan a $16 trillion economy. You nitwits can't plan a cafeteria. So we have a long way to go, and I'd like to leave you with just 3 simple things that I added to this little text tonight based on last night. 3 little things that we can all do. And we might take it for granted, and you may think, that's silly. That won't accomplish anything. Well, you don't know until you try. Pay attention to 3 things. Your dress. If we want to beat these people and we want to take their place where they are, I'd like to look the part. I'd like to see my friends and my fellow patriots here look the part. You want to be taken seriously? Dress seriously. It's a serious business, ladies and gentlemen. There's a country that is about to fall that everyone in this room loves. Take it seriously. Dress the part. Pair of slacks and a tie is not expensive. My good friend Forrest in the back of the room is actually selling ties with nice Liberty things on them. I have a Von Mises tie. You don't have to wear it every day. But if we're going to represent a movement that seeks to do good, let's dress like it. Language. Drop the F-bomb. Stop it. When you're at a barbecue, maybe. And even then, we're going to watch our language. And this is all of us. We've become so coarse in our language, whether it's just using trash talk or not respecting the words that we use and not thinking that they actually do mean something, then maybe if we elevate our discourse, speak a little more plain, use words like cannot instead of can't every now and then, and people may say, my neighbor Joe is one smart cookie. I might believe some of the stuff that libertarian nut job says now. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, a little faith goes a long way. I'd like to tell you a story about faith. There is a gentleman that was in politics. He was just getting started in politics on August the 18th, 1971. Does anyone know the historical significance of that awful date? 18 August 1971. That is, thank you, my friend, that is the date that Richard Nixon went on national television and announced that we were totally severed from the gold standard. He decided in his infinite wisdom at a meeting at Camp David that he and he alone would remove the United States of America, the final tether, the final connection, the final umbilical cord to the gold standard, to the last thing that was just trying to restrain Mordor. Nixon cut it. With impunity, he cut it. Should have been impeached right then and there. You didn't need Watergate or G. Gordon Liddy. Right there. Impeachment. There was a gentleman that reacted unfavorably to this, so much so that he decided right then and there he would work and dedicate his life to getting the gold standard back. I want you to think about this. August 18th, 1971. That gentleman's name is Louis Lehrman. He started a thing called the Lehrman Institute and the thegoldstandardnow.org. Great website. It has everything you ever wanted to know about gold and the gold standard. I saw Louis Lehrman when I was on with Judge Napolitano 2 Friday nights ago with the great Tom Woods. Louis Lehrman is now Congressman Paul's age. Mr. Lehrman was on the Gold Commission that President Reagan had in 1981 with Mr. Lehrman. Mr. Lehrman was on with Judge Napolitano with a big smile, 78 years old, 40 years later, still doing what? Talking about the gold standard. That, my friends, is nothing more than faith. That's faith that he could do it, faith that ultimately wise people will choose this, and he is not going to let the dream die. You know what the last thing he said to me when I saw him and shook my hand, and he said, Mike, I've already been on with the judge. You're going to have a great time. He's in a good mood tonight. Hey, yep, keep that chin up. Come on, we got a big fight. We got a big victory we got to get here. The gold standard, going to get it back. And he left. 40 years! That's longer than John the Baptist was in the desert. 40 years. Never lost faith. That, my friends, is dedication. We sit around and complain, well, we've been at this for 2.5 years now. Remember the story of Louis Lehrman. Just singularly, and people are talking about it now. Thanks to Congressman Paul, people like Louis Lehrman, James Grant, and others, people are talking about gold now. It is our currency. I mean, it's going to happen. Never forget that faith.